standing on a dealer forecourt on a Saturday morning, and there it is. Fresh plastic wrap still on the door sills, tub liner gleaming, a big drive-away number soaped onto the windscreen that looks almost too good to be true. The salesman's telling you about the 7-year warranty, the touchscreen, the towing figure, and somewhere in the back of your head, there's a little voice asking one simple question. What is this thing going to look like in 4 years? Here's the uncomfortable answer. For some of the Utes on sale in Australia right now, 4 years from now, means rust bubbling through the paint on a vehicle that's still under warranty. It means an engine getting replaced at 62,000 kilometres. It means finding out the towing figure on the brochure comes with an asterisk the size of a caravan. I've had my hands inside enough diesels to know that the day you sign the paperwork is the cheapest day you will ever spend with a vehicle. Everything after that is where the truth lives. So today I'm walking you through 12 Utes Australians are genuinely regretting in 2026, ranked from merely bad to properly catastrophic. Not internet rumours. Recalls with the word death in the government paperwork. Class actions, owners fighting for years to get a warranty on it. By the end, you'll know exactly which drive-away specials are bait, which badges are coasting on a reputation they haven't earned lately, and which Ute at the top of this list is the only one I know of where it took a legal ruling to get an owner his money. Stay for number one. That's the part that should make you angry. Before we count anything down, let me show you what's really going on, because every Ute on this list fails the same test. The sticker price is not the price. The real price of a Ute is what it costs you over the years you own it. The depreciation when you go to sell, the repairs that land outside warranty, and the hours of your life spent arguing with a service department about whether a fault is really a fault. The old rule from the trades still holds. You don't buy the tool, you buy the tool's whole life. And in 2026, with a flood of new brands buying their way into the market on price, that rule has never mattered more. So the running question, all the way down this list, is the same one. Not what does it cost to drive away, but who's holding the bag when something goes wrong, right? Number 12, the Mitsubishi Triton. And I want to be fair here, because the new generation Triton that landed in early 2024 is honestly a much better Ute than the one it replaced. Stronger, safer, more grown up. The regret isn't the machine, the regret is the deal. The old Triton's entire reason for existing was that it was thousands cheaper than a HiLux or a Ranger, and the new one gave most of that advantage away with a serious price jump. Right as cheaper Chinese Utes flooded in underneath it. So buyers paid near premium money and got mid-pack equipment, no lane centering, while the Ranger and D-Max have it, and a driver monitoring camera so twitchy that owners report it chiming at them for doing a head check or wearing sunglasses. You can switch it off, but you have to do it every single time you get in. Add the fine print on that famous 10-year warranty, which only runs the full distance if you service at a Mitsubishi dealer, and the history of split intercooler hoses on the previous generations that dealers knew well enough to keep stacks of hoses in stock. And here's why a split intercooler hose matters more than it sounds. The intercooler feeds cooled, pressurized air from the turbo into the engine. And when the hose lets go, boost pressure vanishes, the computer panics. And on a diesel, you can end up with a forced particulate filter, regeneration, and a workshop bill pushing $2,000 for what began as a rubber tube. Good Ute, just not the bargain your mate's old one was. And that's exactly why it opens this list. Number 11, the KGM Musso, the Ute formerly known as the SsangYong. Now here's a machine that quietly built a decent reputation as the cheap Korean alternative with a proper turbo diesel. And the regret creeping in through 2026 is that the value story is fading while the old sins remain. The updated Musso got new looks, new screens, and a higher price. What it didn't get is a lap sash seatbelt for the middle rear seat. Read that again. A brand new Ute sold in 2026 with a lap-only belt in the center position. The kind of thing that was on its way out of family cars decades ago. Owners also grumble about the infotainment, cycling through menu after menu to change a basic setting, phones that take a few goes to pair. None of that strands you on the side of the road, and to its credit, the bones are decent. Proper part-time four-wheel drive, a low-range transfer case, a diesel that just gets on with it. But when the price gap to a mainstream Ute shrinks, every one of those compromises stops being charming and starts being a reason you kick yourself. A cheap Ute earns forgiveness with its price. Take the price away, and all that's left is the list of things it doesn't do. The 7-year warranty is genuinely good, The problem is you're no longer paying 7-year warranty money for it. Number 10, and this is the one that's going to fill up my comments section. The Toyota HiLux. Settle down, I'm not saying the HiLux is junk. It outsold nearly everything in the country again last year, close to 50,000 of them. What I'm saying is that the badge premium you pay is supposed to buy certainty, and lately it hasn't. The 2.8-litre turbo diesel family got dragged into a class action covering over 250,000 Toyota diesels over diesel particulate filters with a habit of clogging up. The filter's job is to trap soot from the exhaust and then burn it off once everything's hot, which usually takes sustained highway speed. Give the Ute a life of short suburban runs instead, and the filter never gets hot enough. The soot piles up, and the owner ends up living with limp modes and workshop visits on a vehicle that was sold to them as bulletproof. Then this year, the new generation HiLux copped a recall on 3,390 Utes built between August 2025 and February 2026 because a genuine accessory bull bar or nudge bar with a light bar could be wired in a way that breaks the earth connection to the electric power steering. The government notice spells out the consequence: sudden loss of steering assist while driving, risk of injury or death. Toyota's fixing it for free, as they should. But you bought the most trusted name in the segment, paid top dollar for it, and got a first-year recall with the word death in it. That's not the certainty you paid for. Number 9, the BYD Shark 6. 6,000 orders before the first one's even landed, and I understand why. A plug-in hybrid ute, huge torque, a lounge room interior, fuel bills that make a diesel owner wince. But a lot of those early buyers found out the hard way that this is a lifestyle vehicle wearing work boots. The braked towing figure is 2,500 kilos, well under the 3,500 that a Ranger or HiLux pulls, and early owners discovered that the moment you plug in a trailer, even a bike rack, the ute dropped into a towing mode that switched off the emergency braking, the lane keeping, the adaptive cruise, and capped it at 110. BYD scrambled out software updates, credit to them. But there's a harder problem underneath. Drag a heavy van up a long grade, and that little 1.5-litre petrol engine has to feed the generator and keep the battery topped up at the same time, and when it can't, the ute pulls power back on you. Halfway up a hill with a caravan on the back. There are also reports of CV joints and front drive shafts letting go in sand, with owners advised not to combine full steering lock and heavy throttle. And the engineering reason is worth understanding, because it's the shape of things to come. Electric motors deliver their full twist instantly, from zero, and a CV joint at full articulation is at its weakest exactly when sand demands the most torque. The old diesels built their power gradually and gave the driveline a fighting chance. Instant electric shove doesn't. Brilliant school-run machine, genuinely clever engineering. But if you bought it as your tow rig or your beach truck, you know exactly why it's here. Number 8, the GWM Cannon. This is the ute that proved a Chinese brand could sell in real volume in Australia. Close to 8,000 of them last year, on one simple promise: everything the big names charge 60 grand for at 40-something. And plenty of owners are happy. But the ones who aren't tell a very particular kind of story. One owner reported a touchscreen so laggy and unresponsive that adjusting the fan meant stabbing at the glass while driving. The dealer agreed it was a warranty fault, and the answer that came back was that everyone was waiting on a software update from China with no idea when or if it would arrive. Others report grinding noises and brake warning lights the dealer can't diagnose. And a fault nobody can find is worse than a fault they can, because it never gets fixed, and it never gets ruled out, it just rides along with you. Then the everyday stuff. Adaptive cruise that hangs so far off the car in front that half the traffic merges into the gap. Cruise speed you can only change in jumps of 5. Wired-only phone connection in a segment that went wireless years ago. The price is real and it's tempting, but the running question on this list is who holds the bag when something goes wrong. And awaiting an update from China is not an answer you want to hear about the vehicle you drive every day. Number 7, the GWM Cannon Alpha, the big plug-in hybrid one, and this hurts a little because on paper, it's one of the most interesting utes in the country. Full-size, plush, plug-in power for BYD Shark money. Over 2,000 sold in 2025. Here's the catch. It's also been recalled twice in about a year for wiring problems. first for a power steering issue. Then, at the end of 2025, 1,445 hybrids got called back because a shielding ring in the high voltage harness wasn't properly grounded, which could scramble communication between the engine and transmission computers. Warning lights, reduced torque, and a hybrid system that may not cool itself properly. Now, every manufacturer has recalls, and fixing things for free is how it should work. But think about what a plug-in hybrid actually is. It's the most complicated way ever devised to move a ute down a road. A petrol engine, electric motors, a big battery, and an orchestra of computers keeping them all talking. When the basic wiring of that orchestra is the thing being recalled twice in the first year, you're not an owner anymore. You're a beta tester with a car loan. Number 6, the KGM Musso EV, and this one earns its spot for a different reason. It's the wrong tool sold to the right people. 60 grand drive away for an electric ute, and to be fair, on its own terms, it's decent. Quiet, comfortable, a solid warranty with 10 years on the battery. But look under it. It's built on the platform of KGM's Taurus, a family SUV. Monocoque body, sits low, drives like a car, because structurally it more or less is one. That's lovely in a car park, and it's a problem in a paddock, because a monocoque carries loads through the body shell itself, where a proper ladder frame ute puts the punishment through a separate steel chassis built to be twisted, overloaded, and abused for 20 years. The old engineers separated the two jobs for a reason. Reviewers have been unusually blunt. This is not a genuine tradie vehicle, and at the time of riding, it hasn't even been through ANCAP. The factory tyres get slippery the moment the road's wet, which is a strange choice for something wearing a tub. The regret here isn't reliability, it's expectation. The word ute on the brochure carries a promise in this country. Carry the load, tow the trailer, cop the abuse, and a body that looks the part doesn't deliver the promise. If you bought it as a quiet suburban runabout with a tray, you're probably happy. If you bought it because it's shaped like your old workhorse, the first hard week on the tools told you the truth. Number 5, the JAC T9. Brand new brand, sharp price from the low 40s, 7-year warranty, 5-star safety, and I'll give it this. It's an honest attempt that isn't pretending to be a Raptor. So why is it at number 5? Because the regret here is mathematical, and it's already locked in. Resale. A ute holds its value when the used market wants it, and the used market wants badges it knows, with dealer networks it can find. The T9 launched with a tow rating that got cut before it even went on sale. A ride that reviewers described as leaving them feeling like they'd done a day of off-roading after an hour on a Melbourne freeway. Traction control that's slow to wake up off-road, and servicing that averages more per visit than a Ford Ranger, around $427 a year over the first 5 years, against roughly $303 for the Ford. That's the cheap ute costing more to service than the expensive one. And think about how the used car maths actually works. Nobody pays strong money secondhand for a ute. They can buy brand new for not much more, so basement pricing on the new ones puts a ceiling on every used one, forever. Stack unknown long-term durability and a dealer network of around 60 stores on top of that, and the used values have only one direction to go. The purchase price is the bait. The trade-in day is the bill. And on a brand this new, nobody can tell you how big that bill will be. Number 4, the Jeep Gladiator. There is real charm in this thing. A Wrangler with a tray, removable roof, genuinely serious off-road hardware. Now here's what buying one in 2026 actually means. Jeep in Australia just posted its worst sales in 27 years. The Grand Cherokee, once the brand's backbone here, has been axed. The Gladiator range was cut back to a single variant. The plug-in hybrid version was cancelled before it arrived, and leftover earlier year stock was being cleared with discounts of up to $25,000 drive away. Sit with that number, because if you paid full freight, the manufacturer just told you, in writing, what your ute was really worth. It's petrol V6 only in a diesel country, it's thirsty, and the brand's local history includes enough service and support grief that the consumer watchdog once extracted a court-enforceable undertaking from it. When a niche vehicle meets a shrinking brand, the owner inherits the risk. Thinner parts supply, fewer dealers, longer waits for anything unusual, and a used market that gets nervous the moment the word discontinued starts floating around, whether or not it ever comes true. The Gladiator isn't a bad machine, it's a bad bet, and the difference between those two is where regret lives. Number 3. The full-size American gamble, the Ram 1500. For years, the pitch was simple and it worked. Proper Hemi V8, remanufactured to right-hand drive here in Melbourne, tells the house. Then Ram killed the V8 and handed the 2025 trucks the Hurricane, a 3-litre twin-turbo straight 6. More power on paper, sure. But the Hurricane arrived with a growing file of reported engine problems in the American press and owner forums, on a brand new design without the decades of hard miles the old V8 had behind it. And here's the tell, the detail that says everything. For 2026, Ram brought the Hemi back as a more expensive option to win buyers back. When a company reverses course that fast, it's telling you the customers were right. Now put that in an Australian driveway. You're paying well north of 100 grand once it's converted and optioned for a first-generation engine in a vehicle where every conversion part adds one more layer between you and a fix. And that's the honest caveat about any remanufactured truck. The local conversion work here is genuinely well done, but a twin-turbo engine with 2 small turbos, high boost and tight tolerances simply has more ways to go wrong than a big, lazy, understressed V8, which is exactly why the old one lasted, and exactly what made it worth the fuel. The blokes who waited for the V8's return will be fine. The ones who bought the first Hurricane trucks at full price are the ones this list is for. Number 2, the LDV T60, and this is where we cross from regret into disbelief. Australia's first electric ute, and on launch day it asked north of $90,000. For that money, you got the old diesel T60's body, rear-wheel drive only, a claimed range of roughly 330 kilometres that shrinks fast with anything in the tub, and a braked towing capacity of 1 tonne. A ute that costs Land Cruiser money and tows less than a 20-year-old Corolla could. Even reviewers trying to be kind ended up comparing it unfavourably to the 60 grand Musso EV that came later. Dearer, shorter-legged, weaker. I'll be straight with you. I actually want electric work vehicles to succeed. An electric ute makes real sense for a fleet doing short, predictable urban runs. Home to a depot every night, a charger on the wall, no trailers. But this wasn't engineering for that job, it was a diesel ute with the drivetrain swapped out and none of the packaging rethought, which is why the battery ate the payload margin and the towing capacity along with it. A ground-up electric design puts the battery in the floor and builds the structure around it. A conversion just carries it like cargo, and you pay for that cargo every single trip. The buyers were mostly fleets and true believers, and the used values on a 90 grand ute with 1 tonne towing do exactly what you'd expect. If number 12 on this list was a good ute at a bad price, this is the mirror image taken to the limit. The wrong ute at an impossible one. Which brings us to number 1, and the reason it wears the word catastrophic. The LDV T60 diesel. On paper, the people's champion, honest money, big tub, long warranty, and to be fair, some owners have done big trouble-free kilometres. But no ute in this country has generated a paper trail like this one. Media reports of corrosion got loud enough that LDV's own Australian website now carries a support page acknowledging corrosion concerns on the T60 and promising case-by-case assessment. Owner accounts read like a demolition log. Rust spots coming through the paint in the first years, then more after they're fixed. A turbo replaced after roughly 2.5 years of arguing that anything was wrong at all. A full engine replacement at 62,000 kilometres with the cause never fully explained. Manual clutches gone as early as 40,000 and waved away as consumables. Brake lights sticking on after multiple attempted fixes. And rust deserves a moment here, because rust on a near-new vehicle is never bad luck. It's a decision. Corrosion protection is paint chemistry, seam sealing, and the coating inside cavities you'll never see. Every step of it costs money per unit, and every step of it can be quietly thinned when a vehicle has to hit a price. You don't find out for 3 or 4 years, which is conveniently about how long it takes for the finance to be paid down and the arguing to begin. Then in September 2025, it went all the way to a legal ruling in favour of an owner whose rusting T60 the brand had argued wasn't designed to cope with his line of work at a surf club. When a company would rather fight a tradesman over rust than fix a ute still under its own warranty, the warranty was never the product. The price was the product, and the price was bait. Now, here's the part that actually matters, because 12 Utes is a list, but the pattern underneath them is the lesson. There is no money in selling you a boring, overbuilt Ute that never comes back to the workshop. There is a great deal of money in the other thing. Follow it. The importer of a budget brand makes its money the day the container ships. Every warranty claim after that is pure cost, which is why claims get argued for years instead of fixed in a week. The dealer makes more on your finance, your trade cycle, and your service schedule than on the metal itself. So a big drive-away number that gets you into the finance office is doing exactly its job. The established brands, meanwhile, have learned they can bank decades of reputation while quietly shipping first-year recalls, because the badge does the reassuring for them. And every maker in the segment has discovered that a headline figure, a towing number, a warranty length, an electric range, sells the Ute, while the asterisks underneath it only get read after the money's changed hands. Nobody in that chain is twirling a moustache. It's just quiet commercial logic, applied by people who each save or make a little at every step, and it all flows one direction, away from the person who has to own the thing at year 6. That's not a conspiracy. It's just a market that's noticed most buyers never do the arithmetic past the windscreen. And that's the thing worth sitting with for a second. A Ute used to be the most honest purchase an Australian could make. Ladder chassis, simple diesel, leaf springs. A machine you could understand standing in your own driveway and fix with your own hands when it let you down. The knowledge that mattered got passed across fences and workshop floors. What fails, what lasts, what to listen for. Every sealed module, every update we're still waiting on from overseas, every warranty argued instead of honoured, takes a small piece of that away from you. Not just money, but the ability to know your own machine. Good engineering is honest. It tells you what it is, does what it claims, and can be understood by the person who paid for it. You're allowed to demand that. It shouldn't be nostalgic to expect it. So here's what I want you to take away from all this. First, price the whole life, not the windscreen. Before you sign anything, look up what a 3-year-old example of that exact Ute sells for today. The gap between that and the new price is a bill you're prepaying. Second, read the recall register, not the brochure. It's public, it's free, and 5 minutes on it tells you more truth than an hour with a salesman. Third, search the Ute's name next to the word warranty and read the owner stories, because a brand's character isn't how it sells, it's how it behaves when something breaks. Fourth, match the tool to the job. If you tow heavy, the towing test is a loaded hill on a hot day, not a line in a spec sheet. And if you work it hard, a car platform with a tub is not your friend. And fifth, if the deal only makes sense because of the drive-away number, the deal doesn't make sense. Do that, and here's the moment you're buying. 4 years from now, standing in your driveway next to a Ute that starts every morning, holds its value, and has never once put you on hold with a customer service line, while your mate explains why his bargain is at the dealer again. That moment costs nothing but the 10 minutes of homework almost nobody does. Tell me in the comments below which Ute you regret, or the one everybody warned you about that's never missed a beat, because that side of the ledger matters too. Tell me what you drive, what you tow, whereabouts in the country you are, and what you've seen with your own eyes on the work sites and the highways, because that's worth more than any brochure ever printed. I read every single one of these, and honestly, those comments are half the reason these videos keep getting made. If this saved you from an expensive mistake, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because next time I'm digging into the diesel particulate filter, the little canister in your exhaust that's quietly become one of the most profitable failures in modern motoring, and the one driving habit that decides whether yours lives or dies. There's a reason short trips are killing engines that used to run forever, and it'll change how you drive to the shops. Until then, keep your eyes past the windscreen and your money in your pocket until the arithmetic works. I'll see you in the next one.